Okay, so let's go ahead and add some nice UX additions to our comments here. So the first thing I want to do is focus this text area whenever we open this dialog. So we did the same thing for these features here. And this is focused. So same thing, we need to add a ref on this text area and then focus it. So let's look for the text area in our component here. So text area, let's add a ref on it. So let's say xref equals, let's call it comment. Okay. And as a reminder, this is an Alpine component as well as a Livewire component, as you see here. And now in our click handler, we can add the code to focus it. So we have to wrap it in a next tick because it has to wait for the transition to finish. So say next tick, and then we can do refs dot comments is what I name it, or comment, and we can just focus it, and that should do it. So actually I just want to focus it if it is open. So let's wrap this in an if is open, then go ahead and run this. Okay, so let's try that out, see if it focuses the text area after we open it. And it does work. Cool. And it should work for keyboard navigation as well. Okay. So next thing I want to do is scroll to the comment after it's added. So right now it doesn't scroll to the comment. We get this notification, but we have to scroll manually to the end of the comments list. So if you've ever posted a comment on the Laracast forum or on a video, you'll see that it does scroll. And this is where I got the idea from. So let's go ahead and try to do that. So you would think that you can do it in here where we're listening for this comment was added event. But unfortunately, the DOM element is not inserted into the DOM at this point. So let me show you what I mean. So if we do, let's say last element, or last comment, I'll name it. And let's just do a document.query selector. And let me take a look at DevTools for a second. And you'll see that each one of these has a class of comment container, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, so each one of these is a comment and it has this comment container. And we're interested in the last one here. So we can do .comment container, and we can use the last child selector to grab the last one. But like I said, at this point, the new element has not been inserted into the DOM yet. So let me show you that. We'll just console log the last comment, and you'll see that it's not the last one. So let's try this again. Let's add a new comment. Let me just do that. New comment. Actually, let me open this. And let's go ahead and post it. So if you see, there's that new element. But you'll see it's not the last one, it's the second last one. So that's not going to work for us. And as a quick reminder of how to scroll to an element, it's pretty straightforward. So let me just grab this one, which is the one we want to scroll to. So it's this one. Go into the console. Let me scroll up here. Let's do $0, which is the element we have selected. And we can do scroll into view. And then we can do behavior smooth. So let's do this. Behavior smooth. And this should scroll to that element. Okay. So how are we going to get this last element? So if you look at lifecycle hooks in Livewire, you'll see that we have these ones, but these happen on the back end. But there are also hooks you can hook into on the front end. So JavaScript hooks. The one we're interested in is message processed. So this is when everything is done. So let's go ahead and grab that one. And let's see what we can do with this. Let's back to our code. Let's get rid of this, and we're going to make use of this later on. So let me just comment it out for now. And we're going to put it within the X init as well. Okay. And let's just console log the message here. So let's say console log message. Okay. And let's see what we get. So let's refresh. So all of our Livewire components are going to make use of this hook. So anything we do that's Livewire required, because we have a whole bunch of Livewire components here, is going to trigger that hook. So for example, if I unvote it, you'll see a console log here. So even if we type into this, you'll see that it triggers that hook because there's a wire model on this. Okay. And when I post a comment, it will trigger that as well. So what we want to do is isolate it to just what we're interested in. So I'm only interested in adding a comment. So let's take a look at the message here and see if we can find a way to isolate it. So what I did was I just took a look at everything I had here. And the most useful thing I found was this update queue. And you can see we have a payload. Actually, let me actually post this comment so we'll get another console log. So this is the one I'm interested, or at least one of these ones. So let's take a look at that again. So payload, sorry, not payload, update queue, the first one, payload, and we get this event. So comment was added. So that's what I'm gonna use to isolate this event. So let's try that. So let's try doing a conditional. So if message, and it was the update queue, and it was the first one, I believe. Yep. So let's say 0. And it was the payload.event. So payload.event. So if that equals, what was it called? Comment was added. Let's see if it isolates it. So the other components are no longer listening. So let's paste this in there. Okay, on comment. Actually, let's grab this and see if the last element is correct at this point. And let's just console log that last comment. Okay, so let's see if this works. So now the other components should not be listening because we've isolated it to just listen for when there's an event called comment was added. So if you take a look, if I do any other Livewire things, it should not respond or not console log anything here. If I type in here, nothing happens, but it should respond when I hit post comment. So let's try that. Oops. Post comment. Okay, so we actually get 2. So let's take a look at what those 2 are. So we get one that's the second last one, and we get one that's the last one. So again, this thing is firing twice, but we only want to listen for this one here. So again, let's take a look at the message coming back here. So let's console log that again. And let's just comment this out for now. And let's see if we can isolate it even more. So again, let me refresh. Let's try again. So reply, trying again. Let's post a comment, and we do get 2. So let's see if there's any differences in here and try to figure out why 2 are firing. So let's take a look at the fingerprint. So let's take a look at the component. And there's a fingerprint in here. And you'll see that the name of this one is idea show. So that's this component up here. And the other one is, let me open the other one here. So component, fingerprint. This one's called idea comments. So we're only interested in this one here. So it's firing twice because both of these components are responding to that idea was added event. So let me just prove that to you. Idea comments should be responding to the event, so we can add it right here. Comment was added, and we just refresh the idea, so it adds it to the DOM. And we're doing it in idea show as well, so we can update the comment count right here. Hope that makes sense. But now we can isolate it by just adding another condition. So back here, let's just add another condition here to check if it's that specific component that we want. So say and message.component, what was it? Message component fingerprint name, fingerprint.name, and we're interested in the idea comments component. So this one right here. This one here. Okay. And now it should only fire once. So let's try that again. Let's get rid of this. And now it should only console log the last comment, which is what we want. So again, let's hit reply. See if it works. Okay, so we only get one now, and this should be the last comment. So if I scroll down, it does work. So all we have to do now is scroll to it, and I already showed you how to do that. So let's go ahead and do that again. Last comment dot scroll into view. I wish there was a Alpine plugin that does some syntax highlighting here, because it's kind of hard to write code when there's no syntax highlighting. Anyways, into view, and then we have behavior. Behavior is smooth. Okay. And if I did that correctly, it should scroll to the last comment after we add one. So let's try that one more time. Reply. Let me close this. Does it scroll? And it does. Cool. So I also want to add a color here for maybe 5 seconds to highlight that this is the comment that was added. So let's do that. First, let me grab a color from Tailwind. So I'm going to grab a very light green. So let's grab green 50, and we'll add that to our Tailwind config. So Tailwind config, green 50, let's add it here. Just say green 50. Okay. And that should work after I do npm run dev. Okay, so now we just have to add the class to our element here, which can be easily done using JavaScript. So back to our code. We don't need this, don't need this. So to add a class, we can just do last comment dot class list dot add bg green 50. Okay. And then let's remove it after a set amount of time. So let's do set timeout. And then let's just do last comment dot class list dot remove bg green 50. Okay. And the second param should be how long. So say 5 seconds. So this should work. There's not going to be a transition on it yet, but let's just see if it works for now. Okay, let's try one more time. Do colors work? Post comment. And the color does show up here. It's very faint. I should have made it another color, but it does disappear. So to make it transition, we can just make use of Tailwind's transition classes. So let's go to our code. Let's go to that idea comment. And we do have transitions on the buttons already, so let's just grab that. So we'll grab this transition, duration, and the easing curve. And we're going to add it to the comment container. So this one here. So let's just add it here. And I'm going to increase the duration so it's a smooth transition. Okay. Let me just make it a darker green for now so you can see it. So instead of BG Green 50, I have one named BG Green. So let's do that. And then we'll move it back to BG Green 50 after we see it working. So hard refresh. Transition. Scrolls. There's the green. It should disappear after 5 seconds. And it does. Cool. So let's go ahead and remove that, or change the color back to 50. One more time to make sure the green looks okay. Say light green, post comment, and there it is. So yeah, everything is working nicely. So as always, let's go ahead and make a commit here. This is episode 50. Git add, git commit, episode 50. Let's say comments, front end, UX.